Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a massive game, and last time I made a video like this, we talked about a secret class of vehicles that I think is going to make its way into the game. And while I don't know that all of these cars that I'm going to talk about today are actually going to be drivable, they may be just small Easter eggs that we see on the side, I think it'd be really cool for them to include these in the game, not only just for the simple fact of Easter eggs, but also to be able to tie the world of Cyberpunk to our real world and see how these worlds are connected and make it feel a little bit more real, I guess. It's not a great description, but whatever. Before we start today's video, remember that if you do enjoy, to leave it a nice... Oh wait, that's not my usual intro. It's December now, so I want to wish everyone a Merry Thickmas and leave a nice, thick, and juicy like on the video. You're welcome. I also want to say that if you do enjoy today's video, as well as some of the other content that I produce on games such as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, or Battlefield, then make sure you hit that big red sexy subscribe button right underneath the video. I also got to shout out my channel members. You guys are awesome. You help make a lot of these videos possible, so thank you very, very much. If you want to join, there is a link in the description down below. So let's get into some more vehicles that I think not only make sense to be included into the game, but also fit the kind of setting and just would seem like the kind of cars that would be included. And the first one I want to talk about is John Wick's 1969 Boss 429 Mustang. Interesting fact about this Mustang is it's actually a 1969 Mach 1, which is my personal favorite of the Mustangs. I'm just a really big fan of Mustangs in general, but the Mach 1 is my personal favorite. Either way, however they include it, I do think it would be really cool to include, and it would make sense considering that Keanu Reeves is starring in this game as Johnny Silverhand. Now, of course, they have Johnny Silverhand's Porsche already starring in the game, as well as a vehicle that we do know that we can go and get. So that's kind of what led me on this kind of string of videos like this. And again, I just think it makes sense. Of course, they have Keanu Reeves' real-life motorcycle company, Arch, also being in the game with one of their motorcycles. So why not include one of his more iconic characters and one of their iconic vehicles in the game as a real-world vehicle? Personally, I would love to see it, even though they may not include it as a drivable car, even just to see it somewhere as something that exists in the world. It would be really, really awesome just to see as a callback, of course, to the John Wick movies and just as an icon of course, classic cars in America and just cars in general. It's an absolute motor icon. Next up is the Audi RSQ from iRobot. Does this one really need a whole lot of explanation? This was designed by Audi to fit the world of 2035, of course, in the movie iRobot, so it was already designed to fit into the future. Now, by the time 2077 rolls around, I do still think that this would fit in pretty well. I don't think you'd be turning as many heads as you think because it would seem like just a normal car on the street, but for people who are fans of either iRobot or just Audi in general, it is a really, really cool car to look at, and I think would be a really interesting callback to not only the movie, but also considering the fact that it's supposed to be a kind of real world vehicle. Do I think it will be included? I don't know. It doesn't really tie into the universe as well, but I do think that it would fit in and be kind of a nice little call to another real world vehicle that would of course be a classic by the time Cyberpunk 2077 rolls around. Next on the list is the Lancia Stratos 0HF. Now, this one is so cyberpunk it hurts. It's a concept car from the Wedge era of vehicles. It was developed in 1970, and it looks like it's from the future, but if you actually hear it running, it's definitely not from the future. It sounds like a car from the 60s era. It definitely does not sound the way it looks, but just the look of it. I mean, it just looks like one of the high-end executive or hyper cars in the game. I mean, this thing would fit in absolutely perfectly. And of course, it's from 1970, so it would be over 100 years old by the time Cyberpunk 2077 rolls around. And of course, even at that age, like I said, it would fit in almost perfectly, of course, until you flip that engine on the thing. It sounds like a car from 1970 for sure. Lastly is the Porsche 959. Now, the reason I included this one, even though I don't know how likely it is, design-wise, it doesn't seem like something that may fit into the game, but of course there already is one Porsche in the game, and we know Porsche is a little stingy with handing out their licensing to put their cars in games, so why not include another one? Now, the Porsche 959, in my opinion, would fit in terms of what it represents. To me, it's the ultimate renegade car, considering it was the fastest production car in the world at the time it was designed and built from the mid 80s to the early 90s. And also it was not street legal in the US until 1999 for various reasons aside from just its performance. Ultimately though, the Cyberpunk universe does diverge around the 80s and 90s, which means that this car would potentially exist at this point in time and probably be the closest thing to our current world that would be in this game. And then of course it's Porsche. We already know we have Johnny Silverhand's Porsche in the game. Like I said already, why not include another one? And this one would be one that I just think fits the role of that kind of renegade gameplay style, whether you're a corpo or whether you're a wastelander or whether you're a street kid. It doesn't matter which role you choose. I think this could fit perfectly. Anyway, thank you guys so much for these suggestions for these cars. I tried to credit everyone who gave these ideas in the previous video. Let me know what other ideas you have down below for other cars that you think could make it into Cyberpunk 2077. And of course, I will see you guys in the next video.